Hey everyone, I'm James. Today I'll be talking about unity, specifically gender versus sex, how it relates to society today, the confusion, and overall the big picture of what all this probably will lead to, or why it's such an important topic, really. All right, so obviously it's no secret we're all born with certain genitalia, and that's why there's two sexes. Either you're born with a penis or you're born with a vagina. Just like on Kindergarten Cop, that little kid was pretty funny. It's pretty simple, nature took care of it for us. That way we can reproduce. One is the dominant force, the males, and one is the submissive force, the females. Females are built to receive, they are built to submit to the male. Now, that doesn't mean that you disrespect the female because of her submissive role. What it means is we can be different and equal. The huge fight is for equal rights. I completely agree. Equal rights are very important. I will give an analogy though. For example, growing up without a father, it's not like I was very handy. I didn't work on cars. I wasn't fixing the house. I didn't learn these things. I gravitated more towards video games and eventually into computer works. And I'm not a computer whiz, but I know a thing or two on computers, maybe a bit more than some people. Now, there's other people that could run circles around me fixing up cars. Or, like I said before, fixing houses, plumbing, electricity, you name it. There's a bunch of stuff that I need to work on myself um, to feel handy. Now, does that make one person that's good with computers and one person that's better with cars or home improvement better? Is one person less equal? No. We each have our strengths and things that we need to work on. Likewise, in relationships between males and females, we're built differently on purpose. This is quite simple. It isn't something that should be looked at as, oh, I couldn't dare do housework because I'm so equal because I'm a woman that I can't get my hands dirty or cook, or that's somehow demeaning, or I can only be fulfilled as a career woman. I mean, if you choose to be a career woman, well, good for you. But when we're talking about relationships and how things function properly, there's a reason you're immobile for 9 months. You're supposed to be nurturing that child that's growing inside of you. And it only makes sense to take care of that child. What's the point of paying somebody else that you, quite frankly, don't know how they're treating your newborn? I mean, do you really? I mean, unless it's a close relative, which not everybody has the luxury of being able to have to take care of your newborn, how do you really know what's happening to your newborn while you go off to work? Um, there are a lot of issues. It's not like it's any secret that people have put hidden cameras in their homes and they catch babysitters being less than kind with children. Um, I can't see anybody that would take better care of a newborn child than its own mother. Of course, the father has his role to provide food for the family. Also help around the house. It can't also just solely be on the female to do everything. There's a balance in there. At the same time, I'd say majority of providing should be done by the male, and majority of caretaking should be done by the female. This isn't really rocket science. It's just how things worked, and it didn't mean because one sex was oppressed. It's just more convenient. It just really is. as far as gender is concerned, there's a lot of uproar about this, and now there's like an infinite amount. And I've heard a lot of people try to be funny, and quite frankly, it is humorous. And they say, well, today, I don't know, does that mean I decide today I feel like being identified as a helicopter? I mean, it's ridiculous. But the point being, how can you just change your gender based on how you're feeling? I mean, what it boils down to, and there was a term that used to be used, but more broadly speaking, it boils down to jealousy. If you feel that females are oppressed and their role is also oppressed, I could see how somebody would want to break away from that stigma of oppression and choose to be something that they think isn't oppressed, like being a boy instead of being a girl. The problem is everybody sees the good, the benefits of being a boy, but they don't really acknowledge all of the extra responsibilities. Now, both sexes have more responsibilities than are comfortable at some point in our lives, but it's not all I don't know, butterflies and rainbows. Being a boy, you don't just get everything handed to you. It's not always easy, but I'm sure women can list all the things that they go through that make their life difficult also, and I don't doubt it. But just because you decide you're one gender or another, it doesn't mean all of a sudden, I don't know, that you get special privileges. It's all confusion. You might ask what the confusion I'm suggesting is all about. Well, big picture, this is where it gets a little cynical, but quite frankly, more honest. If I were a government power, or anybody, quite frankly, and I had all the control at the moment, and I wanted to keep a stranglehold on that power, I would probably try to suppress anyone that could overthrow my power or my seat in power, my authority. The best way to do that, especially since boys are not even typically, the majority of boys are the ones that end up becoming leaders. Sure, there are female leaders, but again, a majority are boys, and it's that way for a reason. Boys typically think outside the box and figure out a way, and girls tend to follow the pack, and that's fine. There's safety in numbers, but boys tend to find their own way, whether they fail, like I have and others have, until they eventually succeed. That's a different story, but typically we try to find a way that's a little more risky, but also comes with some advantages when we do succeed. So since boys are typically more prone to become leaders, as a government or as an authority, I would probably target boys to inhibit them from becoming eventual leaders. And what's the best way to do that? Well, quite frankly, you feminize them. You emasculate them. You create an environment where maybe they don't have so many role models, which kind of happens in the court system. If you eliminate the dad from having custody of that son and he's raised by the mother for the majority of the time, that boy isn't going to turn out so masculine. He's probably going to get lost like I did and like a lot of other boys that become men do. It's a lot of unnecessary wasted time and confusion to tell a boy you can be a girl. I don't see the benefit of wanting to be a girl, but I'm sure they've convinced people of some reason why they should be or why it would be okay to feel that way. Now, that doesn't mean that I look down on people that have already made this decision. It doesn't mean that I dislike them. It doesn't mean that I hate them. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that I know that they're confused. It doesn't make them any less of a person. I don't treat them any differently. Quite frankly, you're just another human. The only thing I know that it's causing is a lack of opposition. And it's not opposition just to create civil unrest. That's not what I'm looking for. There's checks and balances. If somebody's just basically acting like a dictator, who's going to oppose that? If nobody taught you how, if nobody told you what's right and what's wrong, as far as, hey, you know what, that leader or those leaders aren't doing their job, or they're being a little too greedy, or fill in the blank, whatever issue you have with society at the moment. It's not like that by accident. It's by design. Nothing happens by accident. So who's going to stand up and say, hey, no more? Well, at the risk of my own peril, I will, but at the same time, I can't do it alone. And again, it doesn't mean civil unrest. It just means standing up for what's right. You can't just there's 3 branches of the government for a reason. It's all supposed to be checks and balances, but if the system is more and more corrupt, who's gonna check that? I mean, you pay taxes for a reason, right? You don't just pay taxes because it's extortion, do you? Because they force you to do it? They just take it out of your check without you saying anything? Or is it because you're supposed to be paying taxes to basically have a say-so and get things accomplished for society that benefits us all? Are there social programs that help us? Yes. Is there more that can be done? Yes. Are there things that shouldn't happen right now that are happening, such as war? Yes. One person can't do it alone, and by inhibiting future leaders, by feminizing them, they're quite effectively removing any opposition from happening in the future. That's the big picture. Vaccinations, for whatever reason, seem to affect boys more than they're affecting girls. I'm not sure if the ingredients are different in these vaccinations that's triggering autism. It's another good way of hindering development. Our foods, soy is supposed to feminize people. Feminization would make more submissive people. I'm not so sure that being submissive to a government that's already overstepping their bounds is such a great idea. Again, this isn't about civil unrest. This is just making sure people say that life isn't fair. Well, somebody's got to stand up and make it so. If somebody was greedy, they're not just going to say one day, oh, you know what? I don't feel like being greedy anymore. You're right. I was completely wrong. I'm going to make reparations for all of this. No. With sheer numbers, you have to voice your opinion and make things just. But if you cut the legs off before such a movement can happen by creating an epidemic of autism and feminizing society and telling boys that it's okay to not be boys, or shaming them, or eliminating their fathers in the court system, they've done a pretty good job of eliminating the competition. You got to open up. This isn't about, you got to open up your eyes. This isn't about, oh, I'm a macho man, I'm going to keep women down. No, it's for the better good of everybody. That families stick together. But there are roles, and like the saying goes, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. People have roles in a relationship. One is supposed to lead. Quite frankly, women already know this. They don't date somebody that they don't respect, that they don't know can lead a relationship. They're, I guess, I wouldn't want to use the word starving, but desperate for leaders, for them to join and become partners with. The court system needs to be reformed. I suggest that girls belong, in case of a divorce, that girls would go to their mothers for the majority custody, with the visitation rights going to the fathers, and vice versa. That boys go to their fathers the majority of the time for custody, and that mothers would have visitation. That way, each sex child has the proper role model. There are things that I will never be able to teach my daughter about what it's like to be a woman or how to be a woman. And there are things that my ex-wife will never be able to teach my son about how to be a man and how to avoid a lot of pitfalls and what his responsibilities are in society. It's a very important topic, we're all divided, all confused, and it's not to be mean to anybody, but the truth has to be spoken. I care about people. I just can't let what seems to be a bunch of spoiled brats ruin it for everybody else. We're again given certain genitalia for a reason. Everything runs smoother that way. I'll be making more videos. Please stay tuned. I hope you have a great day and stay blessed.